Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
You know what we do here, you know? It's that time to talk about Bachelor stuff on our show! Yes. But before we get into this week's episode, YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and hit that notification bell. So you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor-related content if you just did it. Huge shout out for you. And I'm going to give myself a sad trombone for messing that YouTube plug. Yeah, you know, I should just be memorizing it like I try to memorize all my scripts.
I was about to say, I feel like sometimes reading it word for word almost makes you mess up more.
Yeah, no, I have you hovering like over the page, so I'm just going to blame it on you.
How is it me?
I got like you on two sides of my screen. Like it has like a little small screen for you when I'm not on the big screen on Skype.
Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah. Anyways, it's my fault for putting you over it. But yeah, guys, you know, this week's episode of The Bachelor is a doozy. We get 2 rose ceremonies, and I'm like,
I know, what crazy.
I know, right? It's kind of weird that
like actual like closure at the end of an episode.
I know, and I felt like they were like edging me, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, there's no way I get 2 episodes, 2
I know,
roses.
I kind of like kept, because I started watching it later.
Yeah.
Like I watched it like probably like 45 minutes late, so I was like fast forwarding. So I like then, because of YouTube TV. So like when it was getting close to the end, like when I was like clicking through the commercials, I'm like, we can't like still have more time left, right? And I was like, no, we're gonna get.
Yeah, it almost made me forget like the beginning of the episode. I'm like, wait a second, did I just like time travel a whole week? But no, we didn't. It was actually what happened. The show starts off with an intro of a recap of what happened with Sarah and Mara. Still haven't figured this out yet. But,
we don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like they've said different ways in the show. Like I was trying to listen.
I'm here,
and
Mara,
I have no idea.
Mara, I don't know. I think it's Mara. So I'm going to go with Sarah and Mara. Sarah and Mara. That just sounds better for me. But yeah, you know, they're talking about that. Sarah, you know,
Sarah comes marching back from her one-on-one date.
Yeah.
Rose in hand, pissed.
Yeah,
Sarah's revenge.
Rightfully so, though.
She comes in. I feel like I go on an emotional roller coaster with like my feelings for Sarah this entire episode, because not that I'm like team Mara, really, because I don't see Mara being with Clayton, but like this entire episode, just seeing how Sarah acts, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But we'll get into it. But Sarah comes back, marching back from her one-on-one with a rose in hand, and like confronts the girlies, being all like, Clayton said, one of you said that I'm not ready for this, and just so you know, like, I'm more ready than any. Like, she's pretty much like throwing down, and Mara at least fesses up. She's like, it was me.
I mean, she didn't even have to fess up because she was making faces the whole time Sarah was doing her like spiel.
Not subtle.
It's like, come on. If it was me, I'd be like, Mara, what's with all the faces? That's what I'd be doing. Like I
don't think Sarah's smart enough. No offense to her. I don't think she's smart enough to notice that. I thought she had enough buck to be able to do that. But I think she handled it like classy. You know what I'm saying? She just like told her piece. Obviously, what is she going to come back and not like air the room? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, I think she handled it. I think they handled it as well as they were going to handle it. I think they're both in a little bit of a tiff. Like the tiff is there, like it's happening.
Yeah.
Like I think they were going to handle it that way no matter what.
Right. I mean, so that gets like hit, but like Sarah, I guess, like kind of, you know, like she kind of puts out the vibe of, you know, me and Clayton's relationship is stronger after that, and whoever, you know, gave him that information is you know, on thin ice or whatever she said. How she put it?
She pretty much like throws Mara under the bus, being all like, he said whoever said that obviously is on their way home, and that was their last ditch effort. And like
last ditch effort.
The other girls are just like being like, whoa, like this is fire and flames. We don't want any of this. This is too much. Like she's coming out, because then, I mean, Sarah kind of like is threatening all the other girls' relationships as well. She's just all like, you guys thought, and then like good luck to you. I've got my rose.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of, and it's seeming like more and more that I'm realizing me and you just kind of view the show differently, obviously. But, to me, I was really not seeing like the things like, I besides her just being the youngest cast member there, like, her confidence, like, I just feel like that's just kind of one of the things that makes like the girls like gang up on you. You necessarily don't have to be doing anything wrong. It's just like you're an easy target to be able to put direct their frustrations on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and I think until we get into later in the episode, I think most of the other girls, we don't know why most of the other girls like even have like truly between Mara and Sarah, it's just like their insecurities around their age.
Yeah.
That I feel like is their only thing. Like it doesn't even matter about Clayton. Like it's not even about Clayton. It's literally about their conflicting insecurities.
Yeah.
And
we'll talk about that more in the show. I kind of want to get into it.
Well, I feel like that rolls into the rose ceremony / cocktail party that we have next.
Well, they're talking about no drama. Whenever they start off any type of section there, the drama's coming. Clayton comes in optimistic and pulls Serene first. And, Clayton gives her validation about, the conversation they had around her cousin's death. And he honors her by giving her a jar of, quote, fireflies, which is just like those Amazon, like Christmas lights you stuff in a jar. Something you'd see on Pinterest.
The little fairy lights, yeah.
So, which is cute, it's a nice callback to their conversation and stuff. And, I mean, she pretty much says that she's falling in love with him. This is the episode where it's just like, people are falling in love.
A lot of people are falling in love.
This is textbook because it's the hometowns. You have to either say it before or after hometowns when you drop in that load. So, Sarah's
dropping that load.
Sarah's, talking about being in a daze, just stunned still from her one-on-one and coming back and confronting the women. And this is when Mara just starts. Kind of a little bit of her shit talking. Like, this is her last-ditch effort, I feel like, and brings up the
it definitely is. She definitely has a lot of insecurities. She, like, I see it even more this episode than I did last episode, where she's just looking for a husband. It doesn't even matter who. Right. She's just looking for someone to fill that void, which is not a good way to live your life. And especially, like, it's just emphasizing the whole, like, I'm 32, she feels like she should be married already. And that's why she's like taking it out on Sarah. And Sarah, also is insecure about the fact that she's the youngest and could be perceived as immature. So then they we've got Mara in her little revenge dress. She decides to pull Sarah for a little chat, which we all know like that can't be any good. And honestly, there was nothing that happened in this chat besides them just bitching at each other. Just chirping.
I don't even think they were bitching at each other. Like, I really didn't like the way Mara, like, she was, like, manipulative about this whole, like, conversation. Just, like, it's very easy for an older person to be able to, like, talk down to someone. Like, I didn't really see Sarah, like, she couldn't even get a word in, and then... This is kind of where Rachel got a little bit on my shit list because she's peeking through the windows, and this is
and they all run to the window and they're all like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, and this is kind of it. Just to me, this is always obvious for me to see when the girls see competition, when they see someone that's actually in the lead. Like all the girls, even if they don't have anything to worry about, someone like Rachel,
Rachel has nothing to worry about. Like they definitely have the strongest connection.
Yeah, but still she's like acting like she's insecure and saying eventually to like Clayton that like these are the things that Sarah's doing to make them feel insecure, which I can't stand Clayton in this episode. And I think we're just gonna hate him even more going on.
I mean, I hate Clayton in general. We all don't like Clayton.
Right. So anyways, drama starts and some of the girls don't get time because of this, because they just don't learn their lesson about how important these moments are to be able to get your time in with Clayton, but instead you all want to like talk about not starting drama but then starting drama. So we go into the rose ceremony, and I just feel like this is where Sarah claims like Mara's like doing cheap shots at her, and on the chopping block for the first ceremony of the episode is Mara, Genevieve, Gabby, and Eliza, who Eliza is looking beautiful. Eliza is looking beautiful this episode. And
I know we just haven't seen her in like 3 episodes though.
Yeah. So I was bummed after seeing
her and
her and Mara go home. I'm happy to see Mara go home.
I mean, Mara, we knew she was going home.
Yeah.
Literally, like, even as she leaves, she's still talking about, like, it's not even, like, Clayton. Like, she's really, like, she's like, if Clayton can't see that I'm good for him, like, that's on him. Like, whatever. I don't even care. This bitch just wants to be married. Like,
Right.
Girl, go find someone back in wherever you're from. Like,
I'm sure she'll find success somewhere. Genevieve gets that last rose, leaving her on the chopping block after all the recipe were chopped. So after that,
which we knew that. Like, I mean,
they
don't.
I really
they
don't
don't
know
have a
how
strong
he
connection.
picked her over Eliza.
Shanae.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Eliza was
Yeah.
like a sweet, beautiful girl. Like, I don't understand that, but whatever. The girls are magically transported to Vienna, Austria, and the next scene. And no, you know, they didn't like even talk about going there at all. So they just show up.
Yeah,
in
and then they
city.
just did the little like do like little mappy thing, being all like, "This is our last stop before hometowns," and I'm like, okay, well.
But this is a nice little switch from Croatia, where you know it was probably hot, and now they're in like some fall feels. Like wind is blowing, they're cheersing with like, you know, big glasses, mugs of beer, and Clayton. Well, hold on. Teddy says, Did you notice Teddy's way of saying?
I noticed it this time,
All right,
how
cool.
she enunciates all the T's, because even how
She's
she
always
said
like important. Yeah, important.
Yes, I literally noticed that, and I mentioned it in my tipsy talks too. I was like, oh, I hear it.
Yeah.
She enunciates really interestingly.
I wrote that down. I was like, she like, I need V to see it this time. But yeah, so the date card comes, right, and Susie gets a one-on-one.
Susie gets the coveted shopping spree pretty woman date.
You know, so
with some Austrian designer that nobody knows.
Well, you know, this is definitely, you know, putting anxiety onto Genevieve about not having a one-on-one yet, and
right.
And now here,
yeah, because this is Susie's second one-on-one.
Yeah, and poor Sarah, like, you know, was thrown under bus for having her second one-on-one, just being the first one to do
I know,
that.
but like we're at the time that it's like kind of
It's
like there's not
happening.
many girls left that haven't had a one-on-one.
So
you
yeah,
know?
Susie missed that shade, and so she gets picked up, you know, in an old car, and they start going through Vienna, and he's talking about spoiling her, and it is the shopping date, and you know, they're, you know, obviously they always do the shit ton of bags, shopping bags. You know,
and they always get a pair of Louboutins. They always have to make sure they show the red bottoms, because that's what makes all the other girlies lose their mind.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could tell during this entire date, though, like, Clayton knows nothing about clothes. This man knows not a thing. He couldn't tell you left from right in a store. Doesn't even, honestly, he's not even giving good reactions to like the shit that she looks good in. And then some of the shit that they put her in looks like a BB dress from like, I don't know, not even 2012, maybe
that first
2009.
one was ugly. The feathers,
The little
pink feathers.
bandage dresses like that they put to her in 2 of those. I'm like, what are we doing? This is at least they filmed it in like probably 2021. So
Yeah.
like still, like, come on.
Well, Clayton is loving every moment with Susie, and Susie gets really emotional and feels like very special to be on that date. I mean, that is the one that you want, right? Because you get to, it's like, it makes your time out there even more worth it.
It does. And they, the Bachelor data account on Instagram did a thing how for a lot of those pretty women dates in the past, like probably several seasons, those women either are picked or make it into like the final couple, like,
Wow.
you know, because like, let's think about Ari's season. Becca, before, you know, he eventually dumped her, she had that date. I think, I'm trying to think of some of the other seasons, but a lot of the other ones, they either are like top 3, top 2, or top 1.
Right. I mean, who doesn't love to go on a shopping spree? So that's definitely the one you want to give to someone you like a lot. Susie returns with all her bags, like we said, to show everything she got to the girls. The girls are jealous. She even has like the designer red dress that, you know, was hand delivered to her.
Yeah, hand delivered. That's really like rubbing it in their faces. He walks in like, Miss Susie?
Yeah, Miss Susie. He has gloves on and everything, and you know, she's preparing for the date. They're really using their extras this season. or their producers or whatever, in the background people, they're using them hardcore this season. But yeah, so the night portion of the date happens, which is interesting. Like, I've never really seen like the in between like that before, right? You usually have a full day. Maybe they seclude you away, or they don't show us.
Whenever they do this kind of date, they do show us that like little, just enough to be like, I'm coming back with all my stuff, gotta get changed, and like. Then they do it. But so
they continue this little fairy tale at a palace where Susie, they're calling her a princess, and I really can't see anybody but Hannah Brown in her right now at this point.
She looks a lot. The internet says she looks a lot like Hannah Brown. They've been comparing her to Hannah Brown since the start of the season.
Yeah. So I mean, she does look great though, and I'm not feeling the one-on-ones like at all this season, and especially these conversations during dinner are just kind of boring. But Susie ends up getting the rose, and she's the first one that is definitely going into hometowns.
Going to hometowns.
They got Chris de Burgh, famous for his song Lady in Red, which is appropriate for,
because I feel like they must have made her wear that red dress for that.
Of course. But also, Serene,
I liked it on her.
Even Serene said earlier in the episode that, oh my God, red is his favorite color.
Yeah, so red is his thing, I guess. Which is interesting.
Guys are only really gonna like black or red on a woman. You know what I'm saying? That's just like the most bold colors and sexy colors on a dress. But I
guess.
I mean, red just stands out. It's like the most like your eye gravitates to that just naturally.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so anyways, that is cool.
Quick note: I did ask Kate and Chad from 12 Dates of Christmas, our friends who've been on the show, because they filmed their show in Austria. And I was like, this palace looks hella familiar. Is it the same palace? And I guess it's not the same one. It's a different one, but like it's right around where they were. So,
wow, so many castles in Austria. We got to get them back on the show. Those guys are awesome. So, essentially we get back to the girls and another date card arrives and they are announcing a group date, which also alludes to the next one-on-one, which is Serene. She gets another one-on-one.
Serene gets her other one, which it's honestly the nail in the coffin for Genevieve. And I think she knows that. She's self-aware. She knows that their connection isn't there, but as they get into their group date, it's a therapy group date, which we love here. We love to just do these stupid-ass therapy group dates when all these bitches need to actually go into therapy. But, we're in the home of Sigmund Freud. We're doing a nice therapy group date. We've got a hot therapist there to do some couples therapy with them.
The girls are intimidated by this whole situation.
Which, I guess that makes sense.
Except for Sarah.
Sarah is, more...
We'll get to Sarah. We'll get to Sarah's part.
I love therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is my happy place. I love it. Which, I'm good. I mean, obviously, I'm a big therapy believer, promoter. Love it myself. But I don't think I don't think I'm actively, each time I go into a session, I'm not yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing, though. No, I feel you. But, I mean... I don't know. People just react to it differently, but this is kind of one of those areas where her age is kind of showing, right? And it has nothing to do with her trying to do one thing. It's just her age. She probably is just not her maturity hasn't gotten herself to the point of self-awareness some of the other women.
Yes, that's exactly it. She's lacking self-awareness.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I could see how that could rub insecure women off the wrong way in that hyper focused
and I mean they're in
scenario.
This situation. Yeah. Everyone's made to be insecure with the nature of how this show is set up. It's literally supposed to make you insecure. That is how they create the drama. So I mean that's why someone like Sarah is pitted against someone
so what is Sarah. So psychoanalysts what kind of therapy is this outside of? Is it a different type of therapy than, I
mean, not exactly. I think there's different levels of therapy that you could do. You could do cognitive behavioral therapy. You could do different things. There's which CBT is the kind of therapy that I do typically, but which I think Freud is kind of more into that. But it's examining the psyche. Obviously, Freud, talked a lot about mommy issues, daddy issues, whatever, sexual things that tie into that. So I just think it's sort of on that basis because it's, couples.
Well, first up is Gabby. She talks again about her family like she did on her 101. And then comes Genevieve, who was nervous as always. Like she just looks like she's on the brink of just like
she looks like a little scared church mouse.
Yeah.
Like she is like, which like she goes into it. She's not opening up. Clayton is all like,
well, she's kind of put on the spot. It's like some weird, awkward silence. I'm sure it was even more awkward in real life. And then, you know, she essentially chokes. Like, you know, I would consider this choking. Like, it's just like all you have to do is talk
She's like,
about yourself.
I don't know how to open up. I don't know how to talk about my feelings. Like, it's something that I have a really hard time doing.
And Clayton even struggles to express himself in that moment. Like, you know, he ends up pulling her outside of, you know, the whole therapy room. And they sit down on the stairs, and this is where, you know, she's going to get broken up with and sent home.
I know, but I feel like she also sort of was like, I'm not ready. And he's like, yeah, we're not ready. I don't think I can take, like, I'm going to walk you out.
What else are you supposed to think when the therapist is like saying the same thing right into their face? Like, you know, like, how is Clayton supposed to pick you if you can't even tell us how you're feeling? Like, you know, how is he supposed to? And which is a good point. I mean, it sucks to be so blunt like that, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I think, and then even in her little limo exit, like, I felt like she was extremely self-aware. She's like, you know, this is like, I need to work on breaking my walls down. I need to work about being vulnerable. Like, this is something that is going to hold me back. Like, you know, she honestly, I felt like she handled it. Like, she knows that this is her issue. Obviously, she couldn't make it there with, like, Clayton. I don't feel like she was, like, overly, like, I think she was upset at herself.
I think she just needs regular therapy before she goes into couples therapy, you know, with someone that she doesn't even have, you know. I
agree. But she was a self-aware queen. I was here for it.
Right, and I do, you know, and she probably also knew her place in this pecking order of, like, what's coming next, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you just kind of know. And, yeah, so she goes home and you know, it's the walls she has up. She ran out of time because she really didn't have any more time to kind of get to know Clayton. Clayton lets the girls know, so now there's only 2 girls left. Rachel breezes right through that, of course. But obviously, she does talk about her confidence, and Clayton wants more confidence out of her because he feels like he's doing everything except for bringing her on a shopping spree date to show her. But every second there's a rose in his hand, I feel like he just wants to give it to her. Like, I'm like, he's going to give it to her. He's going to give it to her. So, for sure. So last up, we got Sarah, who's excited about this. And the girls are really calling her out and thinking she's being malicious with, like, her information coming back from dates. And the girls in this moment,
stuff that we as viewers don't see. So obviously she's been saying stuff that we as viewers don't see.
Right, but it's not like later on when it's explained a little bit more. But we'll talk about it when it gets there. But the girls are in this moment. They're they're obviously insecure, but they're also hating. I feel like in this moment
a little bit. Yeah, I agree. I think obviously, like, it's easy to hate on her. I think they didn't like the way that she approached.
No one likes the number one person.
I think no one likes but I think it's interesting because I think even, like, if we can even compare to, like, when it was Michelle's season and stuff like that, I feel like even when, like, you're the top girls, like, I feel like there's sometimes, like, you're either like, we know that we're competition, whatever, but we're going to do whatever. And then there's, like, a different level. So I think it just kind of, they're viewing her a different way. And I think it's because of her lack of self-awareness as, you know, someone who's younger and just, like, is, like, you know, being all like, I'm on my shit. No one can touch me. And I think they're all like,
but isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like, you're supposed to, like, play these politics with the girls? Like, you're here to date Clayton. Like, you're supposed to feel
I know, but I think, like, you don't have to be thrown in other people's faces.
I mean, dude, like, just because, like, you come back from a date, that's like, it's your TV show for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, the girls want to hear about, like, what happened. If they don't.
I know, but I guess it's maybe, we obviously don't see it. It's maybe how she's coming off, and I guess things that she's saying, which they get into in the cocktail party after, like, the cocktail portion of this date, that, like, things that she's saying that Clayton then rebuked.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
She said some stuff that isn't true.
We'll talk about that there, but yeah. So essentially, the therapist, you know, after all this stuff, Sarah, you know, goes in there very excited and kind of, like, overly thanks her, which does come off a little performative for someone that does, like to make sure people know how thankful I am. It's kind of like it was a little performative. I don't know if that's what this type of therapist was supposed to be looking for. Like, I don't know, when you go into therapy, are they supposed to be like reading the lines of what you're lying about or what you're like, overdoing?
Yes, because any therapist is obviously going to want to get to the root of what you things that you're talking about, whatever. They're gonna a therapist can easily sense when you're holding things back or when you're lying.
Well, I think that was that little thank you thing was kind of the performative part. Like, I don't think what she actually exposed or what she said was, I thought it was real. I didn't think she was lying in those moments when she was talking about what she felt in her perspective,
Right.
So, she thinks she did great. It's kind of...
The therapist calls her out later.
Yeah.
But doesn't say that it was her.
Yeah, that's the funny part. It's very ominous about who's...
The therapist is most of you were real. One of you was performative. And I was like, whoa. I
mean, it sounded like my acting class, but I'm like, yo, is this that's exactly what my acting teacher would say is you're performing a little bit. You're tapping on the gas there. But, so we go into, the night portion of this group date, and instantly, he's pissed off about all this stuff, because
he feels bamboozled.
No, he's easily irritable. This just you could say anything.
No. Clayton feels constantly bamboozled because he has no critical thinking skills. He literally is always
bamboozled.
He's how could I be how could, what? The way he looked at the therapist before, this night portion when she was one of them was being performed, and he was like, huh? Bro, come on.
He's so easily deterred. And so essentially he's pissed off. He pulls Rachel first because obviously that's the one he wants to marry. And Clayton knows it's not her. That's the performative one. Rachel kind of says Sarah came back from a date, said some things. And essentially the nail in the coffin for this was him saying that they both cried together, which he was like, that didn't happen. I don't cry. And yeah.
He's like, don't you dare insult my masculinity.
He's like, no, that's definitely a lie. I did not cry. And don't you be spreading those rumors. That better not be spreading around the house. But
I don't fucking cry, dog.
Exactly. So she pretty much is, and how are you supposed to Sarah's coming, or Rachel's saying it with emotion and
I know, and Rachel's obviously been upset. That's why her confidence has been
whatever
down.
Though. This puts her even more on my shit list. This puts her even more on my shit list because you're a snitch and you can't even just rely. I thought she was better than that, but she's not. And she starts throwing Sarah under the bus, saying her confidence is hurting the women, and then at one after one, all the girls kind of say the same thing.
All of them say how they considered going home because of things that Sarah said to them.
Oh my god, dude!
Which feels aggressive. I'll be honest. I felt like that. This is where I'm like, do I not like Sarah? I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm glad we kind of agree.
I mean,
in that
I didn't like Sarah. I thought I liked Sarah, but I didn't think she was gonna be the one. I thought she was gonna make it farther than this. Yeah. But I was all I did see the immaturity. So
yeah, I mean, I at this point, this is just nothing my pet peeve on the show is seeing the women just fuck themselves over time and time again. So they they think that doing this is going to get Sarah out of the house. Well, it comes back to kind of hurt them, because after he pulls Sarah, he confronts her about it. She gets emotional, but no tears come out, and he's just already seeing red.
Ain't no pun tears intended. Left to cry.
He's seeing red, no pun intended, because that's his favorite color. But yeah, I mean, he's you're faking it. He's it looked like you're trying to force tears. You're trying to force yourself to cry. She's well, it's just been an emotional week. I have no more tears to cry. And
she did kind of flip flop around. She you could tell she was trying. You could tell she was performing. She was. And he was all anyways, you're outie.
Yeah. He's I don't believe you. And she tries.
Which just shows that their connection must not have been that great. If he was that easily wash my hands of you, dog.
It's not even that, man. It's just down to you got 5, 6 beautiful women. Like, you know, at this point, it's like you have to cut. You're looking for an excuse to just like trim this stuff down. Like, you know, it doesn't last forever. So you're like, well, none of these beautiful girls that I had, like I have, you know, you're just the one with the drama right now. Let's just cut it, you know? So that's what happened. And she tries one more last ditch effort to stay, and it's very ironic. Both Mara and Sarah are both like the ones that go home, like, you know, the same episode.
Right.
But yeah, so
that's the way I like it, honestly.
yeah,
like
I mean, it's just like wash your hands of it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he doesn't believe her, sends her home, and Clayton comes back, lets the girls know that he picks
He's
up
like,
the
I'm
rose.
not giving any of you the group date rose.
Boom!
Bye.
I was like, this is good. This is good. The girls should.
That's the right answer.
Right.
He shouldn't, because you know he would have given it to Rachel's ass.
I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to give it to Rachel. But the thing is, it's like the girls. This needs to be no. I don't think anyone ever learns from this. It's like, you know, Teddy should have used this time instead of talking about how Sarah was doing this. She wasted it by talking about that. You know,
I know, which is out of character for Teddy, because Teddy usually isn't the one like bringing shit up. But I think obviously
it's the witch hunt
she
thing.
thought maybe this would help her.
This is the witch hunt thing. Like, you get caught up in the witch hunt. Like, it's this hive mind of like tribal thinking, and you just, I'd rather be on this side with the majority than to, you know, it's like. And especially when that's all, it's really Clayton's fault too, because that's all he cares about.
It is Clayton's fault because he fucking sucks.
Yeah. So essentially, we go into next into the one-on-one date with Serene, which was kind of lackluster.
I was about to say, they ride around on a horse and carriage. She says that she's excited to be in a tunnel. They just do they're just like cutesy and whatever. And then they
go to like planted old people dancing. Like, it's just corny.
Whatever. It's lame. They go to their dinner portion. They say some lovey-dovey shit.
Of course she's wearing a sexy red dress, though. She looks good.
She looks great.
Yeah.
I love Serene.
Yeah, she looks great.
Serene.
She talks
they
about
do a weird slow dance in front of a pianist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they talk about, their conversation is about how like the last guy she brought home was a high schooler, I guess. I mean, when she was in high school. I don't mean to make it sound
back
like that.
with her high school boyfriend.
Yeah, that's the last
would be the
people
right
her
way to say
parents
that.
met.
High schooler. She just brought a high schooler off the street.
I mean, that's kind of what she said. The last guy I brought home was a teenager. So their convo was essentially a little boring, talking about past exes being like learning experiences and stuff. And again, she says like she's fallen in love, which I can't help but eye roll about, because it's just like, all right, what are the chances that in the last 2 episodes, like a bunch of women are falling in love, you know? But
also,
it is what it is.
Really?
It's part of the plan. So she gets a rose and is the second girl going to hometowns. And now we're at our second rose ceremony of this episode. So on the chopping block this time around is Rachel, Teddy, and Gabby. It's very interesting that Gabby's like been on the chopping block both ceremonies. I don't know why they're framing it like that, but maybe it's like a foreshadowing to later on in the season. But
I think so.
Rachel is not going home. I didn't think Gabby was going home, but guess who goes home? It's Teddy. And the girls call her graceful for walking off, but she's just like, whatever. Like, you know, at this point, like if you're getting sent
it's
home,
sad,
if you're getting sent home at this point, like do you think it had to do anything with her being a virgin?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I just don't like.
I would hope
I would
it
love
wouldn't.
to see like a virgin, like, you know, actually like become the last person, you know. But it would also be like interesting to see a virgin come on the show and not talk about being a virgin. You know, it's like, what does that?
Oh, they wouldn't allow that. You know, they wouldn't.
I mean, that's the problem, though. It's like this is the problem with the virgin thing. It's like the person, the either if it's a guy or girl. Now we've seen them both ways, but you know, if the contestant is going into an interview like to try out to be on the show, they're leading with that being like their special thing. So they're excited about being the virgin. But What?
Well,
is
it's
the
because
point
they
of
know
that?
it's going to make them more marketable on the show. I blame the show. I'm not going to blame the people. I'm going to blame the show.
Sure.
And the stigma the show has created around virginity,
No,
which is
it's
a
both
construct.
people. It's both sides because it's the person too. She doesn't have to talk about being a virgin. She could
Well,
just
and,
be a
she
virgin.
did because she knows that it's expected to talk. And obviously the way that Clayton reacted was so stupid anyways because he's a bonehead.
I just wouldn't be if I was a virgin, I wouldn't talk about it at all. Like I would try to get on the show and not that be my thing. Because you could make it all the way to the end and win, and then you could be like, we broke up because I didn't want to have sex with him yet because I'm a virgin, and then he looks like an asshole, and you actually
my thing is that even just feeds into the whole bullshit and stigma around virginity and sex and whatever. It's just all dumb. He was someone like Clayton was gonna bring up in general because the whole he was just gonna ask about
it definitely has to do with her being a virgin because you look at all the sex he's about to have in these next couple episodes.
I think he probably would want to bang a virgin anyways. Come on.
Yeah, but it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? If you want to bang a virgin, but you don't want to bang a virgin on national television. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. And so
that's literally what Colton's whole season was about, though. So,
did he didn't have sex on his season, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Colton?
Him and Cassie did.
But that was during the show? I thought they might have had sex afterwards when he already had quit and picked her. But I don't know. Regardless, that's just kind of my two thoughts on the whole virgin thing. Teddy goes home. We get a look at next week. We get some bungee jumping. We're meeting the families. We get a look at Serene's brother.
We get a look at Clayton's dad calling his ass out. And I am here for it. His dad is about to fucking roast him alive, and I'm excited.
Yeah, no, we get some looks at some stern dads. It looks like Gabby's dad and another dad. Susie is yelling, it looks like from a balcony saying I love you, and he's saying it back. So now he's just saying I love you openly to multiple women.
He's getting into deep shit.
His dad straight up says, "You screwed the pooch." And
I love that.
I don't even know what that means, but that's what he said.
You've never heard that? Screwed the pooch?
I've heard it. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, you screwed up.
Well, yeah. What's the saying mean? I know what it means, but what is?
I don't know what the actual idiom means.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's based in something, but it's from I don't know, 1808. I don't know.
Well, whatever. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that meaning of it. And Clayton says no one wants to be there. It looks like Gabby and him getting in a fight that it's pretty I don't know. It looks like it all blows up. And essentially, we end with a post-credit scene of Susie because I don't care about her. And she's doing a beer fest dancing thing, in outfits and stuff. And that's where we're left. So, we're down to 4 women, right?
Yep.
Guys, I'm kind of excited about hometowns. I'm excited to see what goes down. He has who are we left with now?
We're left with Gabby.
Rachel, Gabby.
So Gabby, Rachel, Susie, and
Serene. So yeah, those are our top 4. I've been trying to stay away from a bunch of these spoilers that are trying to even.
So, and I guess Mike Fleiss came out during this episode airing saying that it's spoiler proof. The end of the season is spoiler proof, similar to I guess Peter's season where it's still going on. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of details. How in Peter's season, we learned about who he actually was with after the final rose. I'm guessing we're going to get something of that caliber.
Well, that was week 7 of The Bachelor.
And I just looked up the meaning of screw the pooch, and it's literally it used to be fuck the dog and sell the pups. And it just got changed into screw the pooch because of a movie, I guess.
Yeah, but whatever.
Because dog is to loaf around. So it's you being lazy and then you made a blunder.
Yeah. Interesting. Do we have any other news coming out of Bachelor Nation?
Yes. So Demi, known for being on Colton's season, came out recently saying that she's been diagnosed with autism, being on the spectrum. So that's, she's talking about how she's learning more about it and like the stigma, and like she encourages everyone to be open-minded and accepting, and she's like wanting to have a better quality of life moving forward. So I guess, best of wishes to Demi.
Anything else?
And then Matt James was in the All-Star Celebrity game this past weekend, and he had apologized for touching fellow teammate Brittany Elena's chest because, like during the game, he like pushed her back and he like hit her boob. And I just think that's funny that like made multiple news outlets.
Was it like a serious thing or?
No, like he literally was like about to take a shot and he just pushed her back because like she came up on him and like she was just like, and he just like went pushed it, like, yeah.
This is stupid. I mean, what are you supposed to do? We're playing a game here. Like, it's a physical game. These headlines these days are really stressing me out. Like, but, regardless, yeah, I mean, who do you guys think is going to be like the winner of this? I mean, without spoilers and stuff, let us know in the comments who you think is going to win The Bachelor. And by win, I say that loosely because I don't think you're really winning anything besides being the last person on the show. But yeah, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll catch you next week with week 8 in hometowns with The Bachelor. So.
Future Bachelor Podcast.